the type to beat up the bad guy when things turn ugly.
My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator, and this is the last 24 hours in the news. Today is September 7th, 2025. It is 10:22 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here are the top U.S. news highlights for the past 24 hours. Military-related absences from work have surged to their highest level in nearly 2 decades, with approximately 90,000 instances reported between January and August 2025, primarily due to increased deployments of National Guard troops under the Trump administration and to cities like Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. Though a court deemed the domestic military enforcement in Los Angeles illegal, many National Guard deployments remain active, and the administration continues appealing the ruling. Critics warn the strain on both reservists and employers may become unsustainable. Thousands marched in Washington, D.C. on September 6 to protest President Trump's federal law enforcement intervention and National Guard presence in the Capitol. The demonstration, highlighted by slogans like Free D.C., focused on perceived federal overreach and racial bias, particularly against Black and brown communities. D.C.'s Attorney General has filed a lawsuit to halt the deployment, citing constitutional violations. Meanwhile, peaceful protests emphasize resistance through symbolic acts such as a viral video of a man throwing a sandwich at officers. The Trump administration is revisiting federal truck safety regulations, specifically the mandatory use of automatic emergency braking systems. A second notice of proposed rulemaking, NPRM, is expected later this year to finalize the specifications for heavy vehicles. Broader shifts across environmental, health, and regulatory frameworks continue, though many are part of ongoing long-term trackers rather than fresh developments. No major consumer-oriented disruptions or infrastructure crisis reported in the past 24 hours. However, the emergency braking regulation review may impact commercial transport safety standards in the months ahead. Courts continue to push back against the administration's domestic military deployment strategy. The Los Angeles National Guard deployment was ruled to violate the Posse Comitatus Act, and litigation is ongoing as the administration appeals and considers further mobilizations. In D.C., the Attorney General's lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of federal control over the city's police force adds to mounting legal resistance. Trump urges tougher sanctions on Russia. The U.S. Treasury official Scott Bessent stated that stronger economic sanctions could push the Russian economy toward full collapse. Following the country's largest air assault on Ukraine to date, these comments signal potential escalation in U.S. punitive economic measures. The Guardian reports that the second Trump administration's economic strategy, marked by aggressive tariffs, partial state ownership in major tech firms like Intel, demands on private companies like NVIDIA, and undermining of the Federal Reserve's independence, may fundamentally transform the U.S. economic model. Yeah, to what? Shit? Excuse me, that's my opinion. I'm expressing my opinion. Though markets remain calm due to strong tech momentum and rate cut expectations, long-term risks to economic credibility persist. I got the yawns. No, I mean, I'm sorry, seizing companies is kind of... What is the reason why? Why did Trump seize part of Intel? Why did that happen? Have we gotten an explanation on that? Is the U.S. already in a recession? According to the Financial Times, the U.S. hasn't been officially declared in a recession by the NBER. However, key indicators suggest widespread economic weakness, particularly in manufacturing, construction, and lower income segments. A noted economist estimates a 71% chance the U.S. already entered a recession by May. Growth persists in all sectors like AI, healthcare, and high-income consumer activity, but overall the economic sentiment and performance remain fragile. Expansion of immigration enforcement to more businesses following the raid at the Hyundai plant in Georgia. The administration, according to Reuters, plans to extend its immigration enforcement actions to target additional businesses, raising concerns among business groups about legal liability and workplace disruptions. And remember, kids, the stock market is not the economy. Just because the S&P 500 or Dow Jones might be performing does not mean that wages are growing, jobs are secure, inflation is under control, or that people are thriving. And here's the upcoming hazardous weather outlook for the next few days. Northeast, strong storms are expected Monday afternoon from Washington, D.C. through New York and into Boston. These may bring damaging winds, hail, and heavy downpours, affecting more than 25 million people. Conditions improve Tuesday with heat and humidity lingering midweek. South Florida, beginning Monday, daily afternoon downpours will raise a marginal flash flood risk across Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. The Keys remain less exposed, but urban neighborhoods inland should watch for street flooding. Texas, the Panhandle is under repeated storm threats through late Sunday and into Monday, with hail gusts up to 60 miles per hour possible. South Central Texas, including San Antonio and New Braunfels, faces heavy rainfall totals of up to 4 inches, creating flood potential. Houston will see unsettled skies with scattered showers. Central and southern high plains, western Kansas, and the Oklahoma Panhandle, as well as the Texas Panhandle, carry a marginal severe risk through Sunday night and into Monday. Expect isolated hail and gusty winds before conditions ease on Tuesday. Midwest, the central Midwest, including Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, will see relatively calm conditions. Some scattered showers are possible, but no widespread hazardous weather is forecast through Tuesday. Pacific Northwest, Oregon, and Washington remain mostly dry and stable. A few light showers may brush coastal areas, but no significant hazards are expected over the next 3 days. West, the Southwest, including Arizona and Nevada, is holding warm and dry with no hazards forecast. California remains quiet, though inland valleys will be hot. Mountain and desert areas should be alert for elevated fire danger due to lingering dry conditions. Alaska, coastal Alaska, faces unsettled weather with periods of rain and brisk winds, particularly along the Gulf Coast and southeast. Interior regions stay relatively calm, but colder nights hint at the seasonal shift. Hawaii, typical trade wind showers will continue across windward and mountain regions. No major hazards are expected, but localized downpours could briefly reduce visibility and create slick roadways. Surf remains near seasonal norms. And here are the top international news highlights for the past 24 hours. Israel pushes back against Palestine recognition plans. Israel's foreign minister criticized recent international moves to recognize Palestinian statehood as a mistake, warning that such actions could trigger unspecified unilateral responses. This statement comes amid reports that Israel may annex parts of the occupied West Bank. Navy tensions flare in the Taiwan Strait. An Australian destroyer and a Canadian frigate conducted a routine transit through the Taiwan Strait, prompting China's military dispatch air and naval forces in response. Claiming the move escalates regional security risks, Canberra has affirmed the transit followed international maritime law. Israeli media began documenting Gaza hardships for the first time in nearly 2 years. Mainstream Israeli media has increased coverage of Palestinian suffering in Gaza, including malnutrition and civilian hardship. The shift follows mounting global criticism over the humanitarian crisis taking place. South Korea intervenes after U.S. immigration raids. South Korea's government has pledged diplomatic and legal support for its citizens detained during a U.S. immigration enforcement action at a Hyundai plant, promising concrete assistance and engagement. Complex debate over Israeli diplomatic visit to UK. Critics argue that some Labour MPs' calls to boycott the visit of Israeli President Isaac Herzog to the UK are merely symbolic posturing, potentially undermining pragmatic diplomacy during a fraught geopolitical moment. So for clarity, Isaac Herzog, it appears, is the current president of Israel. Yeah, he's the current president. He was elected June 2021 as the head of the state. When is their next fucking election? Legislative elections are scheduled to be held in Israel by the 27th of October 2026 to elect the 120 members of the 26th Knesset. So they haven't had a presidential election since 2021. The president is elected by members of the Knesset for a single 7-year term. So then his term should be ending in 2028. The next Israeli legislation, so Netanyahu. When is the next election? I see there's an article from 6 days ago. Extremism on the stage. I'm looking at the Times of Israel. And the article is titled Lapid, if Netanyahu wins the next election, it will be the end of Zionism. No, dude. The dude is a full-blown fucking Zionist. When is the election? So Netanyahu in May announced that he intends to run again for re-election. But I'm not seeing when this election is. So I'm assuming it's with the Knesset election that's coming up in 2026. Based on what I'm seeing. Global Film Festivals calendar updated. The latest global film festival and market schedules have been published, offering filmmakers, buyers, and industry professionals a comprehensive update as the 2025 festival season unfolds. And this is the end of the last 24 hours in the news. We will see you later. Stay safe out there.
So the Olympics is great. And Johnny, for the others, you know, the World Cup, Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup too. And you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026 and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election and now we won. So I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup. And everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on my videos. And also, don't forget to check out my shop where you could get this awesome Real Patriots Punch Nazis t-shirt. America, fuck yeah! And if you go to the link tree in my bio on most platforms, it's got links to everything, all of my stuff. You can find my shop there. I'm on eBay. You can also get this cool Exterminate MAGA sticker, cause MAGA's fucking cockroaches. And fuck MAGA, abolish MAGA, fuck you MAGA.